discussion? Mr. Tomio, second by Mrs. Mamalito. All in favor? 5-0. 7:35. 40. Can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes of the October 26th business meeting? Motion by Mrs. Mamalito, second by Mrs. Weiss. All in favor? 5-0. I believe we have a number of commendations this evening.
We
Dr.
do,
Bowser?
and I appreciate the board giving me the flexibility to honor some very special individuals tonight. I thank those who have assembled to help me to do that. As some of you may know, our varsity girls volleyball team will be heading up to Glens Falls this weekend to play for a state championship. That's a very exciting event. We will be sending them off in a very special way on Friday morning through the efforts of Coach Shanahan. The girls will be taking a tour of facilities, and much like we did the graduation walk, this will be the championship stroll. They'll be escorted by the Green Lawn Fire Department from building to building, and the girls will be able to walk the hallways to be wished good luck as they pursue a championship. One of the things that we should probably prepare for is their return with hardware in hand, because that has become a regular occurrence here at John Glenn High School. Long before I accepted this position, the accomplishments of John Glenn's volleyball program, particularly our girls, has been widespread, enormous, and much of it is due to the foundation and the leadership of Coach Kevin Harrington, who is with us tonight. And to talk a little bit about those accolades and share some other good news, I'd like to call upon our Director of Athletics, Mr. Shanahan.
When you think of volleyball, when you think of Elwood and athletics, you think of our volleyball team. When you think of volleyball in Suffolk County, you think of John Glenn Volleyball. When you think of volleyball in Long Island, in our conference, in our league, you think of John Glenn Volleyball. When you think of volleyball in New York State, you think of John Glenn Volleyball. How did they get there? They got there through a lot of hard work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears for this man right here. Kevin Harrington has set the bar so high, not only in Long Island, but in New York State, because of his hard work. He's outworked people. He coaches our middle school volleyball team currently. He coached our volleyball team through a number of years, and I'll give you accolades in a minute. But I can just tell you from being a coach for a long time, Kevin got his program to where it is now through his hard work. He recruited girls. He got the best girls to play for him. He did club. He did volleyball 365 days a year, and that's how our program is at the level it is currently. A lot of the girls who are currently going up to the state championship played for Coach Harrington. So I just want to read a couple of accolades here that Coach was nice enough to put together for me. But Coach Harrington has been a chemistry teacher at John Glenn for 31 years. I'm a true believer in, great coaches make great teachers, and great teachers make great coaches, and certainly Coach fits that mold, no question about it. He was the past president of the Suffolk County Volleyball Coaches Association from 1996 to 2002. Prior to coming to John Glenn High School, he was at Smithtown West. He coached at Smithtown West High School from 1987 to 1990. He was the boys' head coach from 1989 to 1991. He was the Suffolk County Small Schools champion. At John Glenn, his teams, which we're very proud about, they were New York State scholar athletes every single year he coached. That's unbelievable, Coach. It says a lot about you and what you instill in the girls and how important academics is in your program. Coach Harrington was the head coach of John Glenn from the spring of 1992 to 2001, where we flipped from the spring to the fall. So he's been the head coach in the fall from 2001 to 2015. Coach Harrington has 22 league championships, 18 county championships, 15 Long Island championships. He's been a state finalist 5 times. He's won the New York State Championship 6 times. His overall record as the head coach is 504 wins, 104 losses. He's had Coach of the Year honors voted by his peers in 96, 98, 2003, 2005, and 2012. He was a Newsday Coach of the Year in 2005 and 2012. He was Terry Tizo Award Excellence Coaching Award in 1997. He is currently still our Elwood Middle School coach from 1993 to present day. This year he was voted by his peers, which I think is the greatest honor, anytime you're voted by your peers, to New York State Volleyball Hall of Fame. Certainly, we at John Glenn, certainly when we get our Hall of Fame going at John Glenn, Kevin will be on the first team pick for that too. I congratulate him, his wife, and his 2 sons for this great honor. If you just look to our my left here, part of the projects I wanted to do for the coach and for the girls is that I know you never want to forget about the past. You know, what Coach has done, the bar he set so high. I asked Coach to bring down all his plaques. So above the cafeteria, we put in year order a lot of his plaques. And if you can see over here, this is above the cafeteria. We straightened out, gave him the whole area for a lot of his awards by the back gym in year order. And just wanted to give you, reaching the pinnacle. This is one of his state championships. This is 2005, I believe. Reaching the pinnacle of getting 6 of these. How much blood, sweat, and tears it takes to get 1. You have 6 of these. Coach, on behalf of the Elwood schools, congratulations. If you want to say a few words.
Thank you. Thanks, Coach. Thank you very much, just for the moment and for that honor. I'm really humbled to be going up tomorrow to accept, to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And last year I was up there accepting the induction from my mentor from Smithtown High School, who passed away several years ago. And I was hoping the team would be there. They didn't quite make it, but this year they're going to be up there with me, which is fantastic. It's going to be, all at the same banquet. I'm still working on my speech for tomorrow night, so I'm not sure. But I will say this, and I put this, I put in my speech. I had the best athletes. I had some great athletes here and there. I didn't have the best athletes, but I had the best kids. I had Simi Fanalusi playing middle at 5'5", left-handed, which is just so unorthodox. But she had an IQ of probably like 180. So I had great kids and I had great parents. And I coached a lot of years over at Smithtown when we played in the spring, and I was in the fall over there. And great kids and great teams over there. But I cannot tell you, someday when it's time to leave Elwood, it'll be sad. But there's a lot of great memories, and part of them, obviously volleyball, but just an amazing run with the kind of people that I worked with for so long. And I think that's a credit to the entire community. So thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Harrington, if you wouldn't mind.
Thanks.
Take a picture.
Get in here. Let's go volleyball here for this kid. Thanks.
Just a funny anecdote as we transition. Some of you know both of my girls play volleyball for another school, and when I first got here, I had a conversation with Mr. Shanahan as an athletic coach. I said, "Why don't we set up a scrimmage between Port Jeff and Glenn?" And in the most polite way, Dave said, "Ken, I don't know if we want to do that." And then I attended my first practice to watch the Glenn girls play, and I said, "Oh my God, someone would have been killed." So, Coach, the program that you build just lives on, and I think one of the one of the things you can really hang your hat on is that you were able to step away from a portion of the machine, and the machine just keeps on rolling. And I think that's just a sign of great coaching and true architect of the program. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And that's not all. We also have an outstanding student with us tonight who we would like to recognize. And to do that, I would like to call upon our high school principal, Mrs. Brzezinski.
Good evening, Dr. Bosser, District Administration, members of the Board of Education. I know Coach Harrington just left, but would like to offer my congratulations for his being inducted into the Coaches Hall of Fame. Not only a tremendous coach, but also a phenomenal science teacher at the high school who has coached our students to great heights in their classes, achieving mastery on both Regent and AP exams. So congratulations, Coach, well deserved. So one of the greatest aspects of serving as the principal of John Glenn is my daily interaction with the students and the ability to witness firsthand the great things that they can and do on a daily basis. So tonight I do have the distinct pleasure and opportunity to highlight one of our exceptional students for his achievement on the PSAT, which is also a National Merit Qualifying Test. The National Merit Scholarship selects those students who have earned the highest index scores, which is calculated by doubling the sum of their reading, writing, language, and math test scores on the PSAT to qualify for recognition in the National Merit Scholarship Program. Out of the 1.6 million students who take the PSAT, approximately 34,000 earn the distinction as a commended student. John Glenn High School had 2 students to receive this outstanding distinction. Tonight, I am proud to present to you one of the students, Joseph Franzese. The other, Brandon Harrigan, will join us at the December board meeting. So Joe, please come up. I want to take a few minutes just to tell you a little bit about Joe and how remarkable he is, not just for his outstanding accomplishment on the PSAT, but in addition to performing well on the PSAT, Joe is also a top student athlete who's passionate about learning, sports, his family, and most importantly, helping others. His enthusiasm for life is infectious. His peers look up to him, and he in turn truly cares about his peers. He is definitely the best of the best. Joe is an intelligent, outgoing, and dedicated student. He has consistently challenged himself throughout his high school career, and still in his senior year, he continues to do so by taking 4 of our most rigorous advanced placement classes: advanced placement physics, government and politics, calculus, and Spanish. Joe is a diligent student who takes his schoolwork seriously and has maintained a weighted GPA of 97.25. As such, Joe will be graduating this June, having earned summa cum laude distinction. Joe's intelligence is most definitely commendable, but so is his character. Joe is humble, kind, always quick to help his classmates. He brings life and enthusiasm to every classroom environment. He is the kind of person that you'd want to be around, students and adults alike. He is easy to talk to and always seems to have time for light-hearted fun with his friends. He's empathetic, caring, and willing to go above and beyond to help others. Joe's strong moral compass and tremendous character make him a cut above the rest. To add to his remarkable attributes, Joe is also a 3-sport varsity athlete who has earned success in the athletic arena, as well earning him acceptance to the prestigious Columbia University, where he will pursue his passion for wrestling. On top of all of that, he is also very involved in school-wide activities and shows outstanding school spirit. Last year, he was nominated by several faculty members to be a mentor to the 9th graders because of his leadership and friendly demeanor. He has now become one of our best freshman buddy mentors, and I've seen Joe in action. The 9th graders truly look up to him and want to be just like Joe. Joe is down to earth, and the students gravitate to him. I couldn't think of a better role model for our students. Joe's performance on the PSAT and his success all around is a true testament of his hard work, perseverance, the support of his family, Dad is here this evening, and the quality education that he has received in the Elwood schools. So on behalf of Mr. Cole, Mr. Coletti, and myself, Joe, we thank you for serving as a role model for our students, and as one of 2 students who received this distinction at John Glenn High School. You do make us incredibly proud. Thank you so much.
All right, one more funny tidbit. We did our coach put together a college signing program last year over at Glenn to recognize 2 students. Joe being one, who were signing their commitment letter for athletics at their prestigious places that they selected. And Brett was the other student, and Brett will be attending school at Stony Brook University. And those who spoke, myself, Ms. Brzezinski, Coach Brocking, had all attended Stony Brook University, so we made a very big deal about the fact that Brett was going to Stony Brook, and poor Joe's like, I got into Columbia. And it's probably the first and last time you will feel having finished second place by attending Columbia University. And Joe, we couldn't be more proud of you. And as I said yesterday, you brought a great deal of pride to the district, and I know you brought a tremendous amount of pride to your family, so congratulations, sir. As you are taking 4 AP classes, you probably have some work to do, and if you'd like to depart at this point, you're more than welcome to do so. Smart. See?
Congratulations.
And that's not all. We recently were given some great news about 2 members of our staff that went above and beyond, really during their own time and on their own, through their own motivation to bring what's best for Elwood, to bring some new initiatives to our school. And to talk more about that and to offer some congratulations, I'd like to call upon our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, Mrs. Cole.
Good evening. It gives me great pleasure to honor 2 of our staff members this evening who just their curiosity, their dedication, their commitment, their forward-thinking approach have inspired them to seek out funding to help Elwood to engage in activities that we otherwise would not be able to do. 2 of our educators, Mrs. Health, third grade teacher, our technology integration specialist, Mrs. Krista Albrecht, have applied for grant money to engage in inspiring technology activities for students. They found the Lowell's Toolbox for Education grant for $5,000. They described a very creative, dynamic project, which we are going to tell you about in just a little while. And they were selected as recipients. They have worked very hard since receiving the grant to put together a very dynamic learning environment for students. We will be showing you some photos of that in just a little while. But I would like to congratulate them. Please come forward. Together, they have designed a Makerspace at James Boyd Elementary School, and we thank you very much for your creativity and dedication.
Can you scooch up a little bit?
Thank you. I'd love to see all the grants that both of you have received over the years. It seems like time and time again, you go above and beyond, and you're the recipient of many, many grants. We really appreciate you always going above and beyond. Thank you. Sure.
Okay, I just want to say, you had asked me earlier, and my daughter Caroline had gone to the Makerspace, and she loved it. She thought it was wonderful. She got to play with the robots. It's a wonderful room. I think it's a great opportunity and a great learning experience for those kids, and I hope that it goes forward in all different capacities throughout the district. And thank you very much for what you brought to the district.
Okay, you're up again,
I'm up
Mrs.
again.
Weiss. Can you cover board recognition of donations?
Absolutely. Tonight we have two board donations, recognitions. The first one is a $25 donation to the Barbara Quigley Memorial Fund. And for those of you I know who don't remember, Mrs. Quigley was a kindergarten teacher in the district for years, and after she retired, she continued to come here daily and help out in the kindergarten room, and then she subsequently substituted. I think she was around when I was here in kindergarten, and she was just a wonderful person, and she brought so much wealth to the district. So very proud to receive any donations in her honor. The second donation is for $5,345 from the Elwood Booster Club, and those go to funding the robotics, the mathematics, and the art clubs at James Boyd. And the mathematic and art clubs at Harley Avenue Primary School through January of 2018. These are clubs that are run after school. They are fee-based clubs, and then we usually use our staff, and they get, the donations go to pay for our staff. They are a wonderful enrichment to our students. They expose them to things that they might not otherwise be exposed to in their normal school day. So we just really want to thank the Booster Club for facilitating and providing that to our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Weiss. I believe Dr. Bossert has one more donation.
Yes, I have a read-in donation. This one arrived after the printing of the agenda because it was timely in nature, but if the district clerk can please make a note to thank the Elwood Booster Club for the donation of 500 buttons to remind the community residents of our upcoming bond vote. Enough buttons which the board is wearing along with the administration and our staff members present. Remind folks of the date of our bond vote. As you know, it is coming up very quickly following the Thanksgiving holiday on November 28th. And we appreciate the Booster Club's donation of helping us to advertise that in button form. In addition, all of our PTAs have gotten together, and through a council meeting, the PTAs and the Elwood Teacher Association all pooled funds set aside for helping to advertise the bond within the community. And it's my understanding that we'll see some banners and lawn signs in the very near future helping to make sure residents know to come here to vote for the bond. So we appreciate the efforts of our PTAs, our Booster Club, the Teachers Association, and all those involved in helping our efforts. So thank you to all of those groups, and if we can make sure that our correspondences reflect that, it would be appreciated.
Thank you, Dr. Bassett. I believe the Booster Club is having a fundraiser coming up as well. December 10th, a night at the theater at Engelman Theater, and it's on their website, on the Booster Club website. So it's a Sunday afternoon, I believe. That's always a good time.
And the show is Annie.
Annie,
And
yeah.
Annie-
So that's great.
Annie is making quite the comeback, as we noticed many Annie costumes at the Harley and Boyd Halloween Parade.
Really?
So she's everything old is new again.
And now I'd like to invite the all-school president for John Glenn High School, the eloquent Lisa McCosker.
Good evening. I'm happy to be here once again, sharing all the wonderful news from the Elwood schools. The first marking period has officially ended, sending us right into this busy and exciting time of year. Our primary school, Harley Avenue, has had some truly special things going on. Faculty and staff have launched their Positive Behavior Reinforcers, awarding night stickers to students demonstrating model behavior. Further recognition was given to 3 students who earned the title of October Knights of the Month. Paige Borg, a kindergartner, Michaela Grever, a first grader, and David Velasquez, a second grader, were each commended for their excellent behavior at Harley. The Kindergarten Thanksgiving Show is coming up this Friday, a fantastic way of teaching our kindergartners how to celebrate their gratitude. Parent-teacher conferences at both Harley and Boyd began yesterday the 15th, and the second day of these meetings will be on November 29th. Report cards will be posted on Parent Portal for both the middle school and the high school tomorrow, November 17th. The PTA Reflections Showcase was Tuesday night for all grades. The students who participated exhibited moving and insightful entries. Congratulations to them and all of their labors. The high school has piloted an inspiring program called the Noble Knights. The John Glenn faculty has rallied around the idea of selecting a fellow teacher or staff member that fully embody the qualities of the knight. The first member to be awarded this honor was Mr. Abadi. Mr. Abadi has then been tasked with the job of choosing who to pass the knight on to next. Mr. Marino was the well-deserving recipient of the knight for the month of November. This is truly an incredible way to demonstrate the respect of our JGHS faculty for each other, as well as acknowledge and encourage each other to be better every day. The high school is also lucky enough to have talented music students selected for the NISCAM All-County Music Ensembles. Elizabeth Choi, Abiola Famalusi, Mackenzie Chaikin, Kira Williams, Alexandra Vallejos, Samuel Agrego, Jason Muller, and Sean Wilkinson all received this prestigious honor and are recognized for their hard work and skill. The high school is hosting freshman orientation a little earlier this year. On December 4th, the 8th graders and their families are all invited to the high school to see the wonderful opportunities afforded to students of John Glenn. The counseling department sent out a survey to all 8th grade parents and guardians to gauge any specific questions and concerns the incoming freshman class may be facing. They are hoping to tailor their address to the needs of those attending. Winter sports began this week. As the teams are coming together and beginning practices, we can look back on the accomplishments of our fall sports team. Monday hosted the Varsity Awards Night, commending all student athletes on their dedication all fall season long. Both the boys and girls soccer team advanced to the first round of playoff games, but sadly lost in the second round. The football team finished with the distinction of Big Four champs. The girls volleyball team is continuing their superb season as they journey onto states this weekend. They are Long Island champions and will now go on to hopefully win the state championship. We wish them nothing but luck. As Dr. Bossert had already mentioned, seniors Brett Ryan and Joseph Francis were recognized for the athletic skill at their signing days. Brett will be attending Stony Brook University, where he will play lacrosse, and Joe will be attending Columbia University, where he will be wrestling next year. As we look to the future, we are very excited to be hosting Mr. Ed Garrity on Tuesday, November 21st at the high school. Mr. Garrity is a top youth speaker who will address the high schoolers on leadership skills and qualities necessary in leading a happy, successful life. The high school will also be holding a roadmap to college and career readiness and parent and student meeting on the 28th. Sophomores, juniors, and even freshmen are welcome to come and learn how to start planning for their future. Thank you so much for your time and attention. I wish everyone a happy and healthy Thanksgiving break filled with friends and family.
I had the pleasure of attending the Athletic Awards Assembly that Emma referred to as part of her beautiful address. And if I recall correctly, Ms. Costa, you were the recipient of a very special award for your contributions and leadership to the girls varsity tennis team. So congratulations to you as well. I'm sure it was the first of many. And I guess this is the part where I have to follow Emma. So I will keep it very brief and just share two things with the board before we begin the remainder of our agenda. At a previous board meeting, the board shared with and published a letter that was written to the Commissioner of Education to advocate for some changes to graduation requirements that affect our special education students. And since that meeting, we have received a response from the Commissioner from that letter, and it was positive in nature that the Commissioner is aware of the concern, has formed a commission to look at the concern, and the last week in November we'll be holding a statewide discussion and webinar to take input from the field about the best ways to address the concerns that this board and many other bodies followed by bringing forward. So it is not frequent where we send a letter and get such an immediate reply with direct action taken to address the concerns we raised. So I commend the board on your action, and I commend the Commissioner of Education for her quick and prompt response. So that's good news since our last meeting. And the only other item I would like to address is that since our last meeting, we did have a walkthrough portion of our bond investigation. It was not overly well attended, but I think the residents that did attend got to see firsthand some of the projects that have been identified for work and left with a greater understanding and comprehension of the challenges that we faced and the opportunities that we have moving forward. They were very supportive, very positive, and while there was a reporter present doing the story, I have been told that that will be part of the paper that is circulated on Thanksgiving Day. So we'll look forward to hearing from that. For all those present, our final presentation of information regarding the bond will be on November 20th, where I will answer any remaining questions the community may have prior to our vote on the 28th. Our district clerk, Ms. Gianelli, has everything in place to make sure that day runs smoothly. The voting will take place from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in the district office hallway at the middle school. We will have blocked off reserved parking in the normal administrative area of the lot, and we will make sure that we have plenty of staff on hand to guide folks in the right direction and make sure everyone is able to vote without any difficulty. So we will see what happens, and by the time we meet next as a board, we will know the outcome of that vote. So best wishes to all of you on all the hard work that you've done over a period of multiple years to bring the vote to fruition, and we will hope for an outcome reflecting of the needs of the district. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you, Dr. Bowser. And thank you, Mrs. Nolito and Mr. Tomio, for your work in the legislative committee and your letter to the commissioner as well. So I appreciate that. So we're up to residents' remarks. The board encourages all residents to attend its meetings, and this section of the agenda affords them the opportunity to speak. Persons wishing to speak should identify themselves and any organizations they represent at the meeting. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and may not exceed 3 minutes. Public discussion of matters relating to staff, students, or others at which their reputations, privacy, or right to due process could in some way be violated is prohibited. Anyone for residents? Oh, I look up, the residents are gone.
I see no residents. Seeing none.
Seeing none, let's go on to our presentation.
And to lead us through that, I would like to again call upon our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, Mrs. Tucker.
Good evening. This evening, I'm joined by members of the Curriculum Department. I'd like them to please join me. Mrs. Eileen Kelly-Gorman, Director of Math, Science, and Technology. Mrs. Krista Albrecht, Technology Integration Specialist and third grade teacher. Mrs. Liz Held. When we were preparing for this evening, we had a happy problem of having to select from many STEM activities that students and faculty are involved in across the school district. The 2 initiatives that we are highlighting this evening stand out because of the impact they have on shifting the teaching and learning paradigm. We know that rapid advances and innovations in technology are changing the landscape of the work world at a very dramatic pace, and schools need to find ways to shift from our very long-standing methods of instruction to more personalized learning, student choice, and creative problem-solving models that will prepare our workforce for the next few decades. The new Makerspace at James H. Boyd Intermediate School and the implementation of Google Expedition's virtual reality lessons are really initiatives that change that context for learning. The Elwood School District is making great strides in infusing STEM into the instructional program with professionals at each building who are our early adopters who embrace technology And we are very fortunate to have our Director of MST and our Technology Integration Specialist, as well as our Executive Director of Technology, Mr. Tranchino, because these types of initiatives take a tremendous amount of time, resources, capacity, and technical support to implement. And we are really very, very fortunate for the incredible financial support that we receive through the Elwood Education Endowment, the Elwood Booster Club, the Elwood PTAs, and the grants obtained by our staff, such as the one we honored Mrs. Albrecht and Mrs. Elwood this evening, because these really make these initiatives possible and make the resources available to our students and staff. So we're going to start by taking a look at our Makerspace, and I'm going to invite Mrs. Kelly Gorman.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us, inviting us here tonight to share some of the exciting things going on in our buildings. As Mrs. Hull mentioned, we're going to speak a little bit first about our Makerspace at James Boyd. If you follow any of us on Twitter this week, you may have seen that we shared some photos of some of the exciting things that were going on as we opened that room up to our students for the first time. Makerspaces provide our students with hands-on, multidisciplinary environments to engage in engineering and design experiences. We refer to these experiences as making. The slideshow displayed on the screen shows some of our Boyd students making in the new Makerspace. We encourage you to look closely at the work our students are engaged in each photo. That is a little video clip of some of our robots rebelling against us in the closet as we were trying to put them away, actually. Recently, Mrs. Hall introduced us to a book about makerspaces titled Invent to Learn. In the book, the authors share research that making exposes young learners to engineering skills that provide a foundation for some of the more abstract concepts that students will study in math and science as they are exploring their secondary and post-secondary education. Makerspaces support formal and informal learning through designing, playing, tinkering, collaborating, inquiring, experimenting, problem solving, and then reflecting on their work. Our students may collaborate to program one of our Dash robots, the little blue guys, to complete a task using a coding app on one of our iPads. When the robot moves, it commonly is not successful in achieving the task on its first attempt. Our students will excitedly examine where their program went short, reset their robot, and try it again. While students in this experience are learning to code, practicing math concepts, and collaborating with their peers, they're also learning the important message that it's okay to fail and that we can always learn from our mistakes. The Makerspace is a place where we can celebrate our failures as well as our successes and learn from one another. It is a place where students can discover that they have strengths that they never knew that they had. A makerspace is not solely a science lab, a wood shop, a computer lab, or an art room. The makerspace contains materials and resources from all of these different classroom environments. The makerspaces do not compartmentalize learning into a specific subject area, but rather they promote interdisciplinary learning and knowledge. In the real world, our architects are our artists, and our video game designers rely on computer science and design principles in order to complete their jobs. Makerspaces are designed to create a more realistic environment than a typical classroom that reflects how professionals approach their work in the real world. Makerspaces engage students in problem solving and deep thinking. Earlier this week, we had the privilege of watching 4 different groups of students collaborate with their peers to come up with 4 distinctly different solutions to our problem of the month in the engineering station. And if you saw, they were working with pumpkins, and Mrs. Albrecht will talk a little more about that also. But the students drew out their plans, they tested their ideas, they revised their solution, and then they modeled their solutions for either the adults in the room, for their peers, for the other groups, and they were able to explain their thinking to one another. In Invent to Learn, the authors wrote that when we allow children to experiment, to take risks, and to play with their own ideas, we give them permission to trust themselves. They see themselves as learners who have good ideas that can transform their ideas into reality, into their real life. The makerspace learning can empower students, helping them to shift from being passive consumers of information and products to active creators and innovators ready to solve the problems of tomorrow. Mrs. Albrecht and Mrs. Held are going to share some information with you about their grant, the work they did this summer to get the Makerspace set up and ready for our students, the resources that are available to students in the Makerspace. These two educators spent countless hours turning their dreams into a reality at Boyd this summer, and it's an honor to be able to let them come tonight and speak to that.
Thank you. So for the past 12 years, Lowe's Charitable Educational Foundation has been funding school projects, STEM activities, technology upgrades, and renovations. So when Mrs. Albrecht and I heard about this grant, we're like, cool, let's do it. And we really have always wanted to put in this makerspace, so we just wrote it. And when we found out that we won $5,000, it was very cute because my whole class cheered, and it's a big deal because it was then we started like, wow, we can really bring this to life, and we started planning what we wanted to do and the furniture and the cool things that we wanted, and then we finally were able to do that. And children, they're naturally curious, and we gave them space to figure things out and solve problems. And that was our goal, because we titled our grant, If We Build It, They Will Come. And they just can't wait to come. So I just want to let Mrs. Albrecht speak now.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about the businessy end of this. So right now, our space currently houses a mixture of materials, which we're looking at in our slideshow. Purchased with this $5,000, a Lowe's grant, and you know, those of you who have worked with us with the grants that we won, we're really super frugal when it comes to spending money because we want to maximize our return. So the Lowe's grant money from the EEE, Renee Spanos won the ASCD grant last year, so we had some money there from the Teacher Improvement Grant. PTA funded a large part of it as well, and some building funds were put in there too. So this room has iPads, Chromebooks, Lego WeDo kits, which are awesome little basic robotics that you can build cars and learn how things really work. Snap circuits, Makey kits, which if you were at our Maker Fair and you saw Mr. Tranquino running the pianos, the Makey kits are in there now. Our Ozobots, which are another type of robot, our Dash and Dash's little friend Dot, which doesn't roll around, she kind of gives you the orders. There is a Lego wall taller than any of us here. It's all the way up and all the way around the side, so the children can sort of build in 3D and up and down and all around, which, you know, there is no limit to their imagination. So when they saw that they could build this way instead of up, they're like, oh, wow, look at that, it's a wall, I can do this with it, you know? We have whiteboard tables. We saw a coding station in there. We have a green screen studio, which we've been sort of green screen faking it for a little while, right, in the past, but now we have an actual studio. The Boyd Expedition goggles, which we're going to demo later, and everyone will come on an expedition to Borneo with us tonight. And then a plethora of building materials for our students to just tinker with and create. But it's not just playing. It's a clear goal. But we know, just from all of our vast life experience, there's multiple ways to achieve a goal. And as we spoke about before, allowing them to know that it's okay to fail, go back and figure out what you did wrong. And now let's fix it, and let's make it better. And you know, what Dr. Bassett always says, the race to excellence has no finish line.
Thank you, Stalker.
Is that it? That's it, right? Okay. Yeah, so we encourage them to make how can you make your project better? What improvements can you make? Where do you see this going, you know, in the real world? So this week was the highly anticipated kickoff of this amazing space. And our students were exposed to 4 different challenge stations. The first one was creating a pumpkin elevator. So it was kind of fall themed. And we made up a little story about Peter Pumpkin, who needed to escape the kitchen because he didn't want to be made into a pie. Yeah, so they're trying to lift Peter out of the kitchen. So they had to make some sort of elevator, and that's pretty much all we gave them. Like, here's a bunch of materials. It has to be lifted at least 8 inches. Here's a pumpkin, do your thing. And as many children as we had participate, or as many different designs as came out of it, which is exactly what we were hoping for. Some of them made a crank system, some of them made this pulley thing, some of them had one where there was like 4 strings that you would pull up, and then it, you know, when you pull all the strings, it kind of makes it rise. It was fabulous. The Dash robots have some accessories that come with them, and you may have noticed one of them has like a little orange piece in the front. It's called a bulldozer, and Dash and Wonder Workshop is the company in the Wonder Workshop language, but we called it a rake this week because Dash was our gardener, and he was helping rake the leaves. So we set up that obstacle course, and there are leaves, fake ones, all over the floor, and Dash had to rake them to the receptacles and the end. And they had a program using a coding program on their iPads to figure out how to get the leaves to the end. Now, one of the problems that the students were seeing was, all right, now I have like 4 leaves in my bin, but there's like 1 million more. So what do I do now? And my answer was, I don't know. What do you do now? What would you do if this were you? If you had to do it, what would you do? And that's where they started the like almost backwards thinking to figure out how to get there. Sometimes, actually all the time, watching their brains go is the best part of all of this. Just watching them think about a problem and get to the end and collaborate and talk it out is the most amazing part of this space. So the coders in our actual coding station were able to create monsters of any design that they chose and have them animate to do anything they wanted them to do. And they also got to create GIFs, which are like moving pictures of leaves falling in a forest and changing color as they came down. So, you know, as they were doing that, we had a little discussion about chlorophyll and daylight and our sun and all that kind of stuff. So the students really loved it, and they were so excited to get into this space. I can't tell you how many times I was at Boyd, and students would say to me, I see that sign that says coming soon on 103. When are we going in there? So when they finally got in there, their faces were so bright and so excited to just be in there, and when their teacher said they had to go, it was the saddest part of their day. They did not want to leave. They're like, oh, that's it. And you know, sometimes they had to go to lunch, and they didn't want to go. Who doesn't want to go to lunch, right? We don't want to go to lunch. So when we saw them get their hands on the materials and working in their challenges, we knew that these plans that we invested so much of our love and time into were really coming to fruition. And that was such an amazing piece of it. So, you know, thank you for following through with our visions and supporting that in every way that you always can. We really appreciate it as a curriculum department, and I know I can speak for Liz when, you know, when I say that we couldn't do it without the support of the district behind us. So thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to switch gears a little bit. So 2 years ago, we had found this thing through Google where they were looking for schools that they could come and visit and pilot a new program that they had that was called Expeditions, and it was a virtual reality program. And so Mrs. Albrecht, myself, Mrs. Fine, we all applied, and Mrs. Albrecht got picked, and so we went to James Boyd, and Google sent a representative, and we spent the day taking students on a virtual reality field trip. So after we watched students react that day, we knew that this is something that could really lend itself to our educational programs here in Elwood. And so we decided to pursue funding to get them for Elwood. So I'll give you a little bit of background that we wrote out here. You can imagine exploring coral reefs and the surface of Mars in one afternoon. With Expeditions, teachers can take students on immersive virtual journeys. Google Expeditions is a virtual reality teaching tool, and you can swim with the sharks, visit outer space, walk through a museum, and over 700 other different trips that you can take. And because it's Google, they're just constantly adding more opportunities and more trips that are free once you purchase the hardware. With a generous grant from the Elwood Education Endowment and a donation from the Boyd PTA, the district was able to purchase 2 sets of Google Expeditions kits for the students in the Elwood community. So one resides at Boyd and the other one floats between the other 3 buildings. Some of the expeditions our students have ventured upon include the nervous system, ecosystems from around the world, pyramids of Egypt, the Depression era, the White House, Yellowstone National Park, Ecuador, and the hydrosphere. We even had one of our teachers in the middle school translate an expedition into Italian to help their students practice vocabulary and listening skills while they toured Venice. So students spanning 3rd through 12th grade have been equally engaged with this technology. It's been amazing to see the students who sometimes, may lose interest in what's going on in the classroom are suddenly completely engaged in the lesson. And not just in the technology, but it sparks something for them. They see something, and then the conversations that follow the virtual reality tour or experience, they become active participants in that as well. This year, Elwood, John Glenn High School, was also selected now again to pilot Google's newest program, which is Expeditions Augmented Reality, or Google Expeditions AR. So if you follow us on Twitter again, you may have seen our students on Halloween dressed up and trying something that looked like a cell phone on a selfie stick that they were holding up around the classroom. And basically what Expeditions AR uses Google's AR technology to place 3D objects in a classroom. The students can walk all around the objects, they can get in close to spot details, and step back to see the full picture. The earth science students were able to see some different storm systems, so they looked at a tornado that spun in front of them, they were able to look under it, over it, talk about the wind direction and the wind speeds, the size. Then they were able to jump to a hurricane and compare the size of the two, look at the winds in that as well. Our living environment students saw a three-dimensional heart with animated blood flow. And as you clicked through, you went from the left ventricle, and it showed how the blood pumps. So the Google sends a trainer, and then our teachers actually end up getting trained, and they lead it while the trainer is there. So everyone gets involved. This product is not on the market yet, but as the world moves forward with technology, we're always interested to let our students be the first to experience where it's going. So tonight we're going on a tour of the ecosystems of Borneo. Mrs. Albrecht has agreed to be our tour guide. And we're going to hopefully show you how virtual reality can enhance classroom experiences for our students.
So these are our goggles, and inside each of the goggles is an Android phone. And the way it works is something called point-to-point connection. So these phones don't have SIM cards. They do this. You can't make phone calls, you can't, I'll teach you how to use it, so if it's a little blurry, hang on. And they do this, and they are connected by the little router that I have on the side, which travels with the kit, to this teacher tablet. And as the teacher, you can lead the expedition and point the students in the correct direction. So now on my tablet as the teacher, I see happy faces where each of you is looking. So if I point you somewhere as a teacher and I don't see 20 faces there, I know that you're wandering all up. Okay? So here's how we use the goggles. Short of holding them straight up to your face, there's a little knob on the top that's black. If it's kind of blurry, it works just like a focus knob on a camera. So if you turn it very slowly, you will find the correct focal point. Okay? If you wear glasses, feel free to leave them on. You actually don't have to press it to your face. And we do clean these in between every expedition.
Yes.
That actually was a parent question that came up when we demoed them. Yeah, so we clean them after every expedition. We actually use the same antibacterial wipes that the nurse's office uses to make sure that we are clean. Okay, so without further ado, does everybody see some sort of vegetation inside their goggles? Okay. All right, I'd love to walk around, but I feel like I can't hold the microphone. That's pretty good. Okay, so you are looking at the stream ecosystem on Borneo. Okay, so if I were teaching a regular class, it would look just like this, where all I'm seeing is masks in front of me, okay? And every once in a while I'll say, put down your goggles and let's talk about what's going on. But with something like this, I might start with a question like, why do you think this stream is so important for plant life in the forest ecosystem? And with their knowledge of ecosystems, they would be able to talk to me about the interaction between the plant life, the animal life, and the abiotic and biotic factors in that area. So like right now, our fourth graders are studying ecosystems. This is one of the things that's going, the activity that's going to be incorporated into that unit. So if you see an arrow on your screen in a second, please turn yourself in the direction of the arrow and stop when you get to a white circle. Do you see the arrow? Do you see the white circle? There's a lot of happy faces on a white circle. So, thanks to the fertile tropical climate and high humidity levels, Bornean forests, such as this one, contain more than 15,000 species, more than a third of which can be found nowhere else in the world. So this little piece that I just read is part of a script that's included in these expeditions. But I have to tell you, in every expedition that I've done in the Elwood schools, from 3 through 12, these are like starting points. And what the teachers do is infuse their incredible knowledge of the subject that they're teaching, and like I said, use this as a starting point, almost like a PowerPoint bullet to start the conversation. Next, we're going to look at moss. Okay, you see an arrow; it's kind of going to swing you down to the ground, and there should be a patch of green moss in between some leaves. And our forest floor in Borneo is carpeted with moss. These bryophytes play a vital role in regulating the ecosystems by providing an important buffer for the surrounding plants, which benefit from water and nutrients they collect. Bryophytes can survive in humid atmospheres. I'm going to go to the stream, which is right next to it. Notice the stream's dark color. And at this point, I might inject as a teacher, why do you think it's like that? But much like a cup of tea, it's been darkened by leaf tannins. These nutrients in the water flow through the forest and are taken up by plants. The stream itself houses many invertebrate and fish. And then at this point, it's an amazing time to talk about the animal life and the plant life and how they interact in an ecosystem. Okay? So that's one. I'm going to lead you to one more ecosystem within Borneo, which is the river ecosystem. So you might have seen it black out for a sec, and now you should be looking at a river that looks kind of greenish. And I might start off with a question like, what sorts of animals will hunt the fish like the ones in the water? Okay? So you can look all around and up and down. Feel free to spin in your chair.
You just do this like fun of us.
It's so fun though, isn't it? Isn't it great?
Well, wait to see the kind of tasting we do from the day.
So I have to tell you while you're looking around in this river, I have seen students who are the most disengaged, purposefully disengaged students who engage with this. This brings them in. Students who will not participate in a conversation in the classroom are the ones raising their hands, which is the most beautiful part of this. Did you find something you like there, Dr. Bossert?
Turn around.
Yeah, turn around.
Oh, wow.
What is it? You have to turn around.
Yeah, turn around.
You have a 360 view.
Oh, that's much nicer.
So this also happens in the classroom as we're doing things. I encourage the teachers to, when they change scenes, to wait a minute. Don't talk for like a good 30 seconds to a minute, because the students are doing just what you're doing. They're excited, they're looking around, they're feeling it out, and making many, many, many observations, which usually at this point, a teacher would say, what do you notice about whatever we're looking at? And then that starts off the conversation. So I just pointed you to the wildlife in the river that serve as prey for large predators that are lurking in these waters, like the huge Asian water monitor basking on the boulders on the far bank. So, could we take our students on a field trip to Borneo? Could we?
No.
Realistically? Virtually! Virtually, we can take them anywhere. And the list of expeditions is over 750 at this point, and it has grown about 300 since August. So, it's ever growing and ever changing. Do you love expeditions as much as our students?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Yes. Go to Bora next. So with expeditions, you have, you showed us the still pictures, but you have the capacity to do like walking through the Egyptian pyramids. Would you have video capability and?
So VR, Google VR does not,
Okay.
as far as I've seen. You can't zoom in or go into something like some other virtual reality apps.
Right.
This one just does things like this. The other piece that I've seen for the VR is it will take an inset, maybe from a current picture of something, and then how it was, 100 years ago. For example, one of our high school English teachers did an expedition on the Deep South during the Depression. And he related it to Gem and Scout in To Kill a Mockingbird. To get his special education students, who may have a difficult time comprehending the text, to understand where these characters were coming from. So were they able to walk through the house? No. But they were certainly able to get a much, much clearer picture of what was going on in these characters' lives, because he brought them back to this time. So, no, you can't walk through it? No, you can't walk through it. Other virtual reality apps, yes, but not Google.
The actual component, this mechanism has the capability to do that. We just don't have the app for that at this present.
I'm not sure about that. There are other apps that can be used on these phones, because it's just from the Google Play Store, but many of them don't have the teacher-led capability.
Also to take the place of that feeling like you're walking. So for the Egypt one, you might be at the foot of a pyramid, then you might find yourself on top of the pyramid, then you might find yourself looking eye level with the Sphinx. So they try to take on that feeling like you could be walking through. There are different frames, just like you switch views in this tour. There are different pictures that they can look at, so that can kind of mimic the feeling of walking, even though they're
The
not walking.
3D capability and the clarity is incredible. I mean, I wear glasses, so to me it's a little funky, but it's definitely, the sky is blue, and the water's green. It's just like,
There is one application of the technology that was very impressive to me when I had the chance to demo it before, in that many colleges are placing walking tours of their campuses virtually on the equipment, and our guidance department and some of our teachers can invite students to do college campus tours using this equipment. Which,
There are several built in
Yeah.
to Google Expeditions. Several college tours.
Yeah, that saves us a lot of money. We like that.
So from the college parent point of view, we can check it out before we have to go and really pay to check it out. So we hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to collect them back up.
No.
We can. You sound like the students. Can we keep that? Thank you.
One for board meeting.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I was so excited to check those out, and I'm an adult. So I can imagine what the kids feel like, just staring at them, waiting for them to be handed out. And the Makerspace is such an amazing thing that came to life. That was a dream of yours, and I admire you both for taking this and making it real for the kids. Do the kids do you envision this like a once-a-month thing that I saw that you did it kind of themed and you gave them questions. It wasn't just, throwing them in there and letting them play, but it was kind of figuring out a problem, which was so awesome. But is that what you envision, like classrooms going down once a month, or how does that work?
Well, we will actually be looking for approval for curriculum writing, so that we can plan a sequence that goes over grades 3, 4, and 5. And we are looking for students to have perhaps a visit each semester, but each visit will probably be perhaps 2 times during that semester, and then make sure that all the students across the school experience the challenges in the lab at that time.
and they would do it during which? They would do it during their science class.
There is it all doing science class? So we made a schedule.
Yeah,
We
it
made a
doesn't have to be. It's
schedule.
really whenever it
Yeah.
fits for that teacher.
Yeah. And plus, we have to have the staff there to assist them. One of the things that really struck me, I don't know if you noticed in the photo, when I was in the Makerspace, there was a student finishing a word on the Lego wall, and the word was happy. And it showed up in those pictures, and that really struck me because there were a lot of children in that center, and they were all doing the task, and he was putting the last block on the words, And it was so amazing. I mean, he's letting us know that he was really enjoying that learning. So as we move forward, I anticipate that you'll see requests for approval for curriculum writing as we plan out how the sequence would look and how often students would attend, and as well as the applications of virtual reality, because we're really seeing it across multiple disciplines. And perhaps, should the budget ever allow for it, discussions about staffing to support sustained implementation of technology-centric learning experiences, because as you can see, there are, there's a router involved, and there's a login and all the things that right now Mrs. Albrecht is handling with all of our Google expeditions, and having the adults there to help with the Makerspace as the students are trying out all the centers. So we just want you to know that our next big event is our STEAM night, which will be for students in grades K through 8. Mrs. Kelly Gorman, Mrs. Albrecht do a tremendous job of, I'm going to say hundreds of hours watching them last year to prepare for this. They seek assistance from the community with donations, and that's going to be held on Thursday, January 18th, from 4 to 7 at Elwood Middle School. So we're hoping to see a lot of our students at STEAM night. Any other questions on our expeditions or our Makerspace?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I just want to express my gratitude for you ladies. That it's just what Mrs. Freed said, that you always go above and beyond trying to get the grants. You know, I look at this, I know that this is a bonus that we have, but I don't see the Makerspace as a bonus. I think it's a necessity, and you didn't have to do that. And I'm just very thankful that you are of the same mindset, that our kids need this, and that you take the extra time to make sure it happens. It's fantastic.
The room is beautiful. I had an opportunity to, there's the ability to look at it. It's so well organized. It's just, it's an incredible room. And, you know, we had gone to the board conference, and part of it, one of the sessions was about technology, and you saw these Canadian schools with all their different rooms and different learning environments. And then the next week, I saw this room, and you have a lot of that same equipment, which I know probably required a lot of research to kind of, you know, there's no system in place, and you kind of went out and designed that. And, you know, as a designer myself, it's incredible. So I just say thank you.
And I also want to comment that I totally appreciated also in the photos and the video that it's not just high-tech stuff. It's not just robots, and it's the low-tech mechanical stuff that gets kids curious and problem-solving and creative. And, you know, it's sometimes we think of STEM as robotics only, but it's not. It's all the mechanical stuff. And so I'm thrilled to see that too.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may just add comment, one of the more difficult parts about planning tonight's presentation was narrowing in on just a few initiatives to focus on. This is really just the tip of the iceberg of the amount of work that's being done under the umbrella of STEM education throughout the district. And these ladies are certainly at the center of making a lot of it happen. But we have so many talented individuals doing such creative things with our students each day. The most difficult part of planning for tonight was to just show you a few. So this is the first of some things you'll hear about, and I'm sure that we will continue to receive just so many positive updates about what's going on in our classrooms. I commend you, I thank you, and we look forward to more to come.
Thank you.
What I love about it too is that it not only spurs creativity and a different way of thinking and failing well and all those things that are so important to the whole child and resilience and all the things that we talk about, but you could see them sort of working as a team as well. So when you get those team projects in college and in graduate school, you're not all just staring at each other wondering who's going to start, and these kids are going to be used to that from when they were young. Just let's dive in, who's got an idea, and that's also an amazing part of it. It's a social thing as well.
Yeah.
It really looks at all of it, which is great. Thank you so much.
Ms. Kelly Gorman, do you remember which magazine it was that I forwarded to you where the teacher of the, it might have been you, Chris.
It was me. It's on board.
Oh, yeah, I saw
Onboard
that.
magazine.
Didn't he have your name or a
It
similar
was
name?
it was Christopher Allred.
Oh, okay.
And it featured
I saw that.
this award for like Teacher of the Century for creating this makerspace that if you read the article and you really look, I thought ours was a little better. But it's great to be at the front of the line on some of the positive things that are happening. And of course, our challenge now is how to take the good work that's happening in Wood and make sure it happens on a district-wide basis. But the fact that we were able to spend, forgive me, someone else's money to make it happen as the model, as the pilot, to make sure it was working before we heavily invested district dollars is just an incredible blessing. So now that we know what works and what's best practice, now we can try to replicate it in our other buildings.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was great.
Let's
Let's leave it on a high note. Okay, so let's get back to the agenda. Anyone mind if I take all the financial matters as a group? Just, can I have a motion to accept financial matters as listed in item K? Motion. Mr. Tomio, second by Mrs. Mamalito. All in favor? Questions or comments? All in favor? Just one quick comment, that school lunch fund, if anybody's looking at it in detail, the reason why I think there's such a difference from year to date is because of the employee benefits part of it. I think that switched over. So there is looks like a discrepancy there, but it's not really. It was just a change of budgeting. Can I have a motion? Does anyone mind if I take all the action items together?
We need a vote on it.
I'm sorry.
We need to call for a vote to accept.
Did we? I didn't do that. Okay. The motion was by Mr. Tomio, the second was by Mrs. Mamalito. All in favor? I think we did. 5-0.
Okay, we were chatting, we missed it.
Okay, you did, but we were happy to do it again. Can I have a motion to approve the action items, the personnel agenda as attached, all the special education recommendations?
All under item L?
All of item L, 1, 2, 3. Of the poll watchers for the bond and the business agenda as attached. Motion by Mrs. Weiss, second by Mrs. Marcus. Any questions or comments? All in favor? 5-0. Any items not listed on the agenda that anyone would like to bring up? Good, okay. We are up to residents' remarks since we have no communications. And I think we're pretty safe, but residents' remarks, like I said, very dull. I don't, okay. Any residents' remarks? Seeing none. Can I have a motion to adjourn the business meeting? Motion by Mrs. Marcus, second by Mrs. Weiss, all in favor? 5-0. 8:50.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was really great.